So a point that many people, myself included, have made is, who the hell is leading the Democrats right now? Like, for real, who is their leader? Stop and think about it. Like, nobody in their right mind would say Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries or Jerry Connolly, the 74-year-old with terminal esophageal cancer who's the head of the oversight committee. And so, look, it's a real question. Is it Kamala Harris? I mean, she was just, you know, the standard bearer not that long ago, but where the hell is she now? She disappeared. I saw an article about Joe Biden signing with CAA, the talent agency, and then I think I saw one where Kamala Harris signed with some talent agency too.
The same one.
It's like, I don't know, man. If you were saying, hey, there's like a fascist threat and this guy wants to be a dictator, and then he takes office and like you're nowhere to be found. I don't know. Even somebody like Obama, former president, like you were on the campaign trail for Kamala Harris. Now Trump's actually doing a lot of these things, and mum's the word. You don't hear anything. Right? All because of some...
So this is what I don't understand about Kyle. Is Kyle doing a bit right now? Is this a bit? Is this like a bit? Or does he actually think like this? Has he gotten... Is he slowed down? Is there a lot of carbon monoxide in his stream room? Like, what's going on? Like, this is not 2017. This is 2025. We've had 8 years of these Democrats. We went through Build Back Better and the way they betrayed the left. We went through how they helped primary using Zionist money, the left in 2024 and 2022. Like, we have gone through, like, the Kamala Harris, Donald, you know, the Joe Biden is fine up until the, oh, shit, we need to switch him out. No primary. Let's put Kamala Harris in. Like, we've gone through the whole Bernie Sanders was, you know, in 2020, Barack Obama calling all the other centrist Dems to drop out. And hey, Elizabeth Warren, stay in, even though you finished 5th in New Hampshire and got humiliated in Iowa. Keep staying in to split some votes. I just, like, I don't... The Barack Obama will never be a leader. Kamala Harris was never a leader. What's the gripe with Kyle here? I don't understand. I'm just listening to what he's saying. And, you know, he's been making political content for 15 years or something. And he's acting like this is the first cycle he's ever seen. I think he's smarter than this, is what I'm saying. I think he's putting on an act. I think that's why I asked if it was a bit. I think it's a bit. I think he's trying to make himself more relatable to people who don't know anything about politics. I mean, and that's why I asked about carbon monoxide, because it's like, is he forgetting what he lived through, or I think he's doing a bit. Like, he's pretending to not understand so that he can be more relatable to his audience.
Nonsense, unwritten rule that, like, former presidents don't weigh in on current presidents. It's like, you know, I think you can make some exceptions. When he starts talking about stealing Gaza and taking Greenland and stealing Panama and war with Mexico and war with Iran and the world's richest man is illegally hacking into our government agencies and deleting regulatory bodies he doesn't like, I think you can make some exceptions. So, but look, there actually is an answer to the question. Who is the Democrats' leader? And as I pointed out to you guys very early on, you actually can't pick your leaders. Leaders will just emerge. It's an organic thing. It's a natural thing. They rise up through the ranks because they want to rise up through the ranks, and they put in the work. Well, guess what? Bernie Sanders announced an anti-oligarchy tour where he's going across the country and specifically to some of these, like, purple districts that Trump barely won, he's going there and he's basically breaking it all down for people. Hey, Elon Musk is the world's richest robber baron. Donald Trump is a far-right fascist. They're a serious threat, and I'm going to lay it all out for you in detail. And so he announced this tour, and guys, this is like, it's like rock star numbers are showing up for him. Okay? Look at this. In the middle of winter in Omaha tonight, Bernie Sanders spoke to 2,400 working-class Nebraskans. We were forced to turn away 800 people at the door. More than 130,000 tuned into the live stream in real time. Now, he's also been releasing like these videos where he responds like pretty often to what's going on and explains to people exactly what's happening. And those videos on YouTube and on other social media platforms, it's racking up millions of views. Millions of views. This doesn't happen with other politicians not named Donald Trump.
I mean, I think Bernie Sanders should just run again. If we get to 2028 and we haven't gotten a leader, or we get to 2027 and there's nobody who's stepping up, he should just run again. I don't even give a fuck. I don't care if he's 90. I don't care if he's too old. Legitimately, I don't give a fuck. Sanders will be the DNC party leader. Okay, and this is the problem that we have. This is the problem that we have. And this is why I'm so harshly critical now of places like Majority Report and Kyle here, is because it's just the Democratic Party hates Bernie Sanders. The Democratic Party hates you. The Democratic Party hates AOC. The Democratic Party hates the Squad. The Democratic Party hates Palestinian rights organizers. The Democratic Party hates labor unions, like the Amazon labor union. They hate you. Okay? Do you understand that? They hate you. They hate progressives. You're part of a team that doesn't want you on the team. And you're kind of like, no, that's not true. Yes, it is. They hate you more than they hate Republicans. How many of you think I'm wrong about this? How many of you are thinking that I'm using rhetoric or hyperbole right now? They don't want, and so you're saying like, and this is what I don't understand. And this is why this is the crisis that we're having. The Democratic Party is closed to the left. The Democratic Party, I'll say that one more time. The Democratic Party is closed to the left, but the Democratic Party needs the left, which means what? It means they are vulnerable to being defeated and outright replaced. It is a better strategy to just run in the general election against the Democrats and the Republicans than it is to stay in the primaries and lose in a situation that's rigged against you. Here's the realities. And by the way, we've tried this before. Turnout in primaries is too low for a populist left-wing candidate to win everywhere nationwide. It's just the type of people that vote in primaries are upscale, wealthier, more conservative, more party-oriented people that are not as persuaded by left-wing messaging because they trust the mainstream media. And they like party figures like Barack Obama. They are just not good targets for a populist left-wing message. They aren't. They're older, they're wealthier, and they're more liberal, ideological, Zionist Democrats. These are the primary elections. Now, in the general election, that's not the case. That's where regular normies vote. That's where Bernie Sanders is the most popular. That's where the left is the most popular. So if we really, really want to win, we have to get past primaries. And honestly, I don't even understand the argument. Like, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to actually go out there and primary hundreds of Democrats and win hundreds of primaries? It's just nonsensical. It'll never work. It's far better to just blow the Democratic Party up in general elections and turn it into a rump. It makes no sense to try to strategize like, oh yeah, we're going to win these primaries. No, it's not a plausible path. It isn't. They spent $20-some million against Cory Bush in a primary. Congressional races used to be like 1.5 million for the entire thing. The problem is basically determine which is more impossible: exterminating the Democratic Party internally or externally. What did Bernie Sanders didn't do it internally? Bernie Sanders himself did it externally. Bernie Sanders himself ran as an independent. Like, why are we doing the thing that Bernie himself did not do? Bernie Sanders, when he entered the Democratic Party, that's where he was defeated. When he ran as an independent, that's where he won. What would fully kill the Democratic Party then? The same thing that always happens when a major party dies. What happens is a major third party emerges from a faction of one of the former parties. So we have a two-party system, which basically means that because of the Electoral College, parties eventually converge around two poles, all right? And they create two major parties. Third parties are unstable because of the Electoral College for president. So what happens in our history, and we've had many party systems in our history, but usually what happens is a faction of a party splits off and forms their own party. And either that faction destroys the old party, or that faction creates so much damage to the former party that it's forced to coalesce again with major concessions. In some cases, the faction actually takes over the other party. For example, if you look at the Progressive Party, right? If you look at 1924, let's look at like the 1924 presidential election. You actually look at this, you'll see there was the Progressive Party. The Progressive Party was actually a party that split off from the Republican Party. What ended up happening was, and if we go back, you'll see there's been progressive, there was progressive, various, here's an example. Look at the 2012 election, right? You have Woodrow Wilson, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and Eugene Debs. The Progressive Party actually did better than the Republican Party because it split off the Republican Party. Theodore Roosevelt was a Republican, but he split off the Republican Party and he formed the Progressive Party. And the Republicans only won 2 states. The Progressive Party won more states. Now, yes, the Democratic Party won under Woodrow Wilson, which was not good, right? If you're like, well, you're splitting the party and it's going to cause What ended up happening is that the Progressive Party continued to threaten, and what ended up actually happening is the Progressive Party was absorbed by the Democratic Party, which eventually led to FDR. You need to sell this to the average live. History doesn't matter to them. You have to compare it to the Michael Scott Paper Company. Yeah, I know. I know. This is why we're in trouble. This is why we're in deep shit. The reason why we're in deep shit is because the strategy we need to pursue is based on being intelligent. And if you are telling an American we need to do something intelligent, we are cooked. If it's like, I have to do more than push one button, I don't know, it seems unrealistic. What Sanders, this is what I think the problem, that the reason why we're fucked is because in 2020 or 2016, Bernie Sanders should have said, they rigged it, they cheated me, I'm running. And he should have just ran as an independent. He should have just said, fuck the Democrats. I legitimately feel like Bernie Sanders is the person, quietly, that is the biggest ball fumbler of all time. It makes no sense. Like, he believed he could win the Democratic nomination, which is why he didn't do that. Because he got close enough in 2016 where he was like, well, I could win. I was the front runner. I could win. So he decided it's easier to be the Democrat nominee. But he didn't realize they saw you coming. Like, in 2016 was his shot in the Democrats. When he didn't win as a Democrat, he should have abandoned it because they were seeing him coming. And they were determined to rig the election against Bernie Sanders no matter what. The New York Times reported it. We are willing to risk party damage. This is what they said. When Bernie Sanders was winning in Nevada, when Bernie Sanders was winning in New Hampshire, when Bernie Sanders was winning in Iowa, which in history, there's never been a situation where a candidate won Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada and wasn't the nominee, except 2020. Why? Because the Democratic Party was determined to rig the election against him. And they're still willing. Do you not understand it? This is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm making fun of Kyle a little bit here. Hey, Kyle, they're not going to let you do what you want to do. They despise you. They hate me. And it's not because I haven't been willing to play ball. I've been trying to create a more progressive Democratic Party. It's just not going to happen because they're determined to defeat you. Bernie was not going to be able to win in 2016 because of the superdelegates, though. The Dems only got rid of them after the primary cycle. Well, let's leave aside the superdelegates for a second. 2016 was his shot. He did not win. Like, it's just hopeless. It's a hopeless strategy. And I think somebody like Sam Seder knows what I'm saying is true, and he just doesn't care. He's okay with the Democratic Party as it is. And fundamentally, Sam Seder is okay with the Democratic Party as it is. And I just think that is suicide for the human race. Like, that is fundamentally the problem that we're at. Is like Sam Seder we got to vote for the Democrats over the Republicans. Vote blue no matter who. And somehow that's going to result in progressive leadership. And it's like, look at the state of New York. Look at the state of California. Everybody there is voting blue no matter who. And it's fucking broken. It's just as bad, if not worse. And there has never been a serious contention with the idea that the Democratic Party is fundamentally broken and unreformable.
Like, pretty often to what's going on and explains to people exactly what's happening. And those videos on YouTube and on other social media platforms, it's racking up millions of views. Millions of views. This doesn't happen with other politicians not named Donald Trump. It doesn't happen. If Jerry Connolly...
I think Sam's more nuanced than that. Whenever the nuance has been whipped out, the liberals are on the ropes. And it's like, it's okay. I like Sam Cedar too, but this is a fair criticism of the politics that he has espoused. You know, there's a reason why I was super anti Kamala Harris, and that show was giggling about Kamala Harris. Right? That's why I said that she was going to lose, and I got 49 out of 50 states correct, and they said she's going to win over 300 and something electoral votes, right? Because they're fundamentally more oriented toward that party.
He gave a rally speech. If he did some videos on YouTube to update people on what's happening in D.C., how do you think that would fare? What if Chuck Schumer did it? What if Hakeem Jeffries did it? Okay, so here, I'll show you some of the stuff here. This is one of the pictures.
Yes, we need a Labor Party, but what do you think about using the Dem ballot line strategically? Sure. Sure. It is what it is, you know? I'm not saying that... I'm not somebody who says don't ever use the Democrat. If you can win the Democratic Party primary in a specific district or a specific race, do it. I don't care. In fact, that's good. The more people that are willing to leave the Democratic Party that have like political power, the better. The Democratic Party, guys, like, do you not see who the leaders are? Do you not see how they're not reacting to their defeat? And this is what I'm concerned about. I was an MR listener during the campaign. I defected to you because of editor stuff, and Sam fully accepts the argument that he would vote lesser evil. He told a caller he'd vote for a candidate who built fewer concentration camps than the other candidate. So he accepts the flaws in lesser evil arguments. The problem with always voting lesser evil is that you are an ignorable voter. This is just how campaigns work. I want to explain something to you, chat. If you always vote for the Democratic Party, they can ignore you, and they do. The Democratic Party does not care about groups that do not exercise power and who are not at risk of defection. That's the reality. If you just vote blue no matter who all the time, then you are ignorable. That's just how math works. What are you going to do? Be mad at them? You're voting for them anyway. They don't give a shit. The goal is for them to get 50% plus one of the voters. If you stand up and say, "Sir, I will vote for you no matter what you do," you have officially declared yourself to be a political non-entity.
Parties of the right, the center, the left are in the pocket of the oligarchy, or they don't have the guts to speak out against the oligarchy. When that happens, then the logic of the lesser evil, I'm going to vote for people I don't really believe in because they are the least bad. They're not as bad as the other people that might get in. The logic of the lesser evil is the greatest gift to the greatest evil. And what do I mean by that? When you vote tactically to keep the people that you hate the most out, and when you have this constant slide towards authoritarianism, towards racism, towards policies that are boosting austerity at a time of increasing inequality. And people vote strategically on the basis of the logic of the lesser evil. Now, what happens is the whole of the political spectrum shifts to the right. The Social Democrats are emulating the Christian Democrats. The Christian Democrats are emulating the AfD. Die Linke is trying to stay close to the Social Democrats. And all of them together are shifting more and more and more to big business interests, big finance interests, racism, xenophobia, misogyny, all of them. It's not because they are bad people. This is the dynamic of the logic of the lesser evil. That's no argument for tolerating the ultra-right. It's an argument for conviction politics, not for strategic voting, for the logic of voting for people that you believe in and not voting for the lesser evil. Therefore, this is a call to arms a call for people tomorrow to vote for Meta 25. People of good conscience have a duty to themselves. If they agree with our program, if they admire the stance that we took on the Green New Deal, on Palestine, on the war in Ukraine, to vote for us for Meta 25 and not to vote strategically.
And this is the problem, chat. You can't say that you are an admirer and fan of Yanis Varoufakis. You can't say you support Mélenchon. You can't say that you are a supporter of the left and then go ahead and throw your vote behind Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer anymore. It's not viable. I want to give you another analogy. It's the analogy that I always use that is irrefutable. We're on an airplane, and the airplanes are crashing a lot under Donald Trump. We're on an airplane. It's on a 60-degree down angle dive. If I get us to a 30-degree down angle dive, we're still a smoking crater in the ground. We need to do maximum pulling G's. We have to take the airframe to its maximum to get us out of that dive so that we can fly level again. Voting for the 30-degree down angle versus 60-degree down angle, it's the same fucking smoking crater at the end. Whether you vote for Hakeem Jeffries or Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, it's the same smoking crater. Your odds of survival are 0. So you either realize, okay, this isn't 2000. We're not voting for Al Gore again. We don't have the 20 years, the 25 years since 2000 have happened. The gigatons of CO2 have entered the atmosphere. The fascist movement has grown. We have a Nazi party in Germany, the number 2 largest party. It's time to stop playing this game of voting for people like Chuck Schumer. There's a genocide going on in Gaza. They're contemplating ethnic cleansing and extermination right now. We have the ICC indicting leaders of Israel. Wake the fuck up. You can't vote for Chuck Schumer anymore. And this is the problem. Is if you've been following me for a long time, this is not a position that I come to lightly. This is a position I come to after a strategic failure. When something fails, you have a duty to debrief and to examine and say, okay, listen, in 2019, I thought Bernie Sanders running was and being an entryist was a good strategy. AOC had just won. A bunch of, Justice Democrats had just won in Congress. We had the momentum. Bernie Sanders was a front runner. We had a chance, right? Okay, well, he didn't pull it out. Joe Biden won. We got to stop Trump during the global pandemic. We'll vote for Joe Biden. We'll vote for Democrats. And we'll get a trifecta. We'll try to pass some legislation that's a good compromise. And guess what happened? Nothing that you said was going to happen happened. They didn't pass the things. They didn't follow the Unity Commission. They didn't raise the minimum wage. They didn't pass a public option. They didn't pass the PRO Act. They didn't ban gerrymandering under the For the People Act. They did not pass the Equality Act protecting trans people. They did not pass these bills. They died. There is no child allowance. There is no free child care. There is no free community college. There is none of these programs that were promised happened. None of the incremental shit you said was going to happen happened. It was a total defeat. And now we have Donald Trump too, and he's dismantling the government through executive action. There's a genocide happening in Gaza that the Democrat Party you voted for did, and then you immediately voted for the genocider, and you tried to say that not voting for her was wrong? I mean, at a certain point, when are you going to recognize that the incrementalism or the compromise or the junior partner in the coalition failed? Are you ever going to admit it? Are you capable of evaluating what's happening around you? And this is the crisis that we're in. The crisis that we're in is that, quite frankly, the left in America is weak and morally moribund and morally bankrupt and incapable of evaluating. You know, if the squad had gone from 5 to 10 to 25 to 50, if it looked like we had a momentum within the Democratic Party, if we had members of the leadership of the Senate and the House, if it looked like the Democratic Party was mollified about what happened with the Palestinian protesters and was contrite, that would be one thing. But it's not happening, man. Now, listen. If you want to show me, if this is my opinion now, I'll tell you, and this is how you know I'm good faith. I could change my mind. If it comes out that 150 left-wing Democrats are primarying Democrats and they're leading in the primaries and they win and we get a massive Tea Party of the left wave, and AOC or Bernie Sanders or Sean Fain is the 2028 president, and I will vote for a Democrat twice on Sunday. Okay? Like, of course. But that there is no evidence, none whatsoever, that that is happening. None.
If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for them.
Because the way the Democratic Party is run now for quite a number of presidential cycles is they pick a nominee in a kind of half-assed process that doesn't really represent much of anybody, and then they tell everybody to just shut up. Don't bring up anything that will complicate life for your nominee. You know he's not for you on this. Why badger him? He's not going to be for you for reasons that you don't understand but are good reasons. Shut up. Turn off your brains.
If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party because the left had nowhere to go.
I honestly think we could have a dozen or so people just form a third party, commit to it full bore. I mean, like, here's the reality. Here's the reality in the crisis that we face. The reality and crisis that we face is that there's just not a left wing in this country. I saw Americans mocking Germany, the left-wing party in Germany, for getting, 8.5%, 9% of the vote and getting 60-some members of the Bundestag, and they were celebrating, and Americans were mocking that. And I was like, bitch, you have 0%. You have 0%. I thought you said Trump winning would make the left surge. It is. It literally is. Are you missing? Are you missing what's happening in Mexico? Are you missing what's happening, what just happened in Germany, where the left party went from 3% to 10% in 2 weeks? Did you miss the fact that the neoliberals are crashing in their support? Everybody, the neoliberal strategies are failing everywhere, just like I said they would. The thing about me, and what's different about me than you, is I am not just a passive observer of reality, right?
Absolutely packed in there. I also have some videos for you. Here's one video. This one was in Iowa City. Look at this. People are desperate on the left for a leader. People want somebody who's going to give us the vision, give us the policy agenda, fight back against Trump and Elon and MAGA and all of their insanity. And look, he's coming through. He's coming through. So here, I'll give you some of the article. Then I got some more videos for you. But this is in Common Dreams.
Is that why you
Thousands in
supported
Midwestern.
Trump? I never supported Trump, dumbass. I was anti-Harris for doing a genocide. I laid out a very simple platform of very right-wing policies that I would be willing to support as long as Kamala Harris came out and said she was going to do something differently on Gaza. And she didn't, and she refused. And she refused to make any promises at all. And she lost horribly because of it. And we warned her. It's very funny that when you're right, this is something that I've noticed with people. And maybe you guys can help me figure this out, because it is making me like literally hate the human race. Somewhere people have been taught that you need to say what you want to happen all the time. And that is your analysis. Analysis is where you just go in front of the camera and say what you want to happen. It's like The Secret for politics, where it's like, I'm going to say what I want to happen, and that is my analysis. And it's like, there's no capability of people to see something and go, this is what's going to happen. I don't like this, but this is what's going to happen. Without people like assuming that you want the thing that you're analyzing to happen. It's like a cancer doctor that comes in here and says, you need to get that tumor removed or else it's going to grow. And then you going, I can't believe you want my cancer to grow, doctor. Like, no, you stupid son of a bitch. I'm telling you what will happen based on material reality and analysis and what you need to do to head it off. It's like, oh, Mike, you said Kamala Harris is going to lose. Therefore, you like Trump. No, I was telling you what's going to happen, you stupid piece of shit. And I was right. You should be on your hands and knees begging me for more wisdom, you fucking stupid liberal cuck piece of shit. Subhuman sack of shit. People don't like bad news and reject you saying coming from personal experience. Grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. This is why you're losing to Donald Trump, a fucking clown game show host, because you can't act like an adult, you fucking baby brain dipshit. If I see another adult who reads young adult fiction near me, I might lose it. I'm so tired of the delayed adolescent millennial brain. Grow up. Stop watching your stupid fucking harem anime about somebody turning 18, you fucking freak. You're 35. Read a book or watch a movie about an adult topic. I haven't watched you since the Assad election stream, and you're expressing the appropriate amount of anger here. I don't understand how more people, especially in power, aren't literally raging right now. Of course. Yeah, stop purity testing and talking about drama. Anyway, let's pivot to Ethan Klein is a genocide denier. Okay, I'm kidding. We're not going to do that yet. And here's the thing. The reason why I'm so frustrated with people like Kyle and Sam Cedar and these other people is because there is an attempt to put everybody who criticizes the Democratic Party where it hurts into a box of like a crank who just doesn't want to do anything realistic and doesn't want to win. And somehow like that, the idea that I think everybody's a card carrying communist or something. I don't think that. I just think that if you want the Democratic Party to change, you have to actually have a strategy to make it change. That is beyond going, well, I'm just going to vote for the least bad option. James Carville's actual plan for the Democrats is roll over and play dead. With no clear leader to voice our opposition and no control in any branch of government, it's time for the Democrats to embark on the most daring political mover in the history of our party. Roll over and play dead. Allow the Republicans to crumble beneath their own weight and make the American people miss us. Only until the Trump administration has spiraled into the low 40s or high 30s in public approval polling percentages should we make like a pack of hyenas and go for the jugular. Until then, I'm calling for a strategic political retreat. This is what I like to call the Democrat. You see your friend is being stuffed in a trash can. Another friend of yours is being stuffed into a locker. What do you do in this moment? Run away and hide under your mom's skirts. Pathetic is a word that gets thrown out a lot, but this is a moment where we should go and look it up in the dictionary. We should really, we should honestly get the unabridged dictionary definition of pathetic. We should really look at it. We should read it. And we should honestly look for some synonyms for, to smarten our vocabulary, because honestly, it's almost, we use it too much. Causing feelings of sadness, sympathy, or sometimes lack of respect, especially because a person or animal is suffering. Useful, unsuccessful, or showing of no ability, effort, or bravery, so that people feel no respect. Unsuccessful, useless, or worthless. I want to like dead in the water. Like a dog. Roll over and play dead like a dog. I think way off topic, but Valkyrie showed solidarity by leaving McDonald's last night and went to a Wendy's because of BDS. Cool to see a massive normie creator make a statement. Yeah. Like, this is what I say the Democratic Party has no value. Because look at this is why I say we need to abandon the Democratic Party. And this is the moment of the dirty break. This is the moment where leaving the Democratic Party would do fatal damage. That's why we should do it. Look at these guys. This cannot be revived. This cannot be saved. Do you want the stank of this level of pathetic pussy on you? Do you want this? Do you want to put "I'm a Democrat" next to your name? I don't. Do you? You want people to think you're this? And by the way, chat, and I'm going to explain this a little bit more. I want you to understand something about this. This is an ideological statement. This is an ideological statement, all right? Which is basically the reason why James Carville wants you to roll over and play dead is because he doesn't want any daring, bold, left-wing voice to rise. He doesn't want an alternative to the feckless Democratic Party to rise. He wants what is called in political science, the thermostatic effect. I've been talking a lot about it. But let me see if I could just get an image. Thermostatic effect. Let me just bring this up. We're doing this off the cuff. All right. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. I found it. The thermostatic effect of Biden's presidency on Americans' party idea is stark. In 20 years, Gallup has never had a higher share of GOP partisans. So in other words, this is what he's talking about. Republican Democrat margin, right? So Republican presidency. So negative means more Democrats. Positive means more Republicans. All right. And this is the history of this country. So more people identified as a Democrat at the end of the Bush administration than any time in the last 20 years, 25 years. Okay. Do you see that? Right as Barack Obama was getting sworn into office, the Democratic Party was at its strongest point. From the point that Barack Obama started to get into office, people started to immediately become more and more Republican every year. Then around 2012, they started going back the other way. All right. And then it kind of flattened out just slightly ahead for the Democrats, right? Through the Trump administration, people remained it was kind of flat. And then with the Biden administration, it surged. The Republican Party has never been this powerful in its last 25 years. And it's getting worse. And what we're also seeing is a lot more people are going independent. The parties are weaker than ever, more nonpartisans, more independents than ever. This is the reality we live in. And it's even worse than this now. The Democratic Party is toast. It's done. It's finished. It's gone. But the thermostatic effect basically means that you vote for a Republican and people are like, ew. And then they're like, the grass is greener. That's the grass is greener effect. I voted for Barack Obama. Ew, I don't like him. I'm going to vote for Republican. Ew, I got a Republican. Yuck, I don't like them. I'm going to imagine a different Democrat. The grass is greener effect. Now, this is not... Now, centrists, the reason why they love this idea is that they believe that centrism, aka the status quo, is the best and highest form of politics, right? And that we just needed to keep everything the same. And so sometimes it'll be a little reactionary, and then sometimes it'll float and be a little bit, liberal reformist, and we'll just float between the two. And largely we just stay where we are, right? So that's why Carville is saying this, because Carville is an ideologue. He is a neoliberal ideologue, which is he loves the institutions and the status quo. And if we just roll over and play dead, people are going to be like frustrated with Donald Trump, and they're going to come back to the center. That is not true. There is no such thing. The center is an illusion. All you have is smarmy, half thought out gotchas engaged in the actual conversation he's having. Nobody who criticizes me, unfortunately, rises to the level of like basic intellect. I thought you said the left is surging. It is. This was an image of when Joe Biden was president. This was from January or like February of 2024, dummy. This is showing how Joe Biden destroyed the Democratic Party and revived the Republican Party to a level that it had never been before in the last 25 years. In New York City, we have a choice. Zohran Mamdani is surging. He's now past the incumbent mayor, Andrew Cuomo, who is the disgraced New York governor and far-right conservative at 38% off of 100% name recognition, Zohran being much less known. Democratic Socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani emerging as a serious contender for New York City mayor poll. 33% of voters ages 18 to 34 support Mamdani. A plurality, he wins party voters who despise President Trump. I just think we're in a situation where if you're supporting the Democratic Party, I really question your judgment at this point.
GOP districts attend Sanders' first stops on tour to fight oligarchy.
Chatter means the left domestically. You look at the left internationally like a socialist. I mean, if we're going to be completely honest, the destruction of the United States is the best thing that could happen to the left internationally. Like Donald Trump crashing the US and like destroying the CIA, destroying USAID, you know, destroying America's allies with Europe, that will do more for the left than anything else. That's the reality. And that includes domestically as well. So like, I'm not trying to be an accelerationist, but we live in the accelerationist world. And if we're being cold-bloodedly honest, we watched Sachs yesterday, and what did he say? He said, we already have the technology. We already have the resources to give every single human being on this planet a dignified life. We know how to do it. It's just the incumbents don't want it done. The people in power do not want it done. They find the idea of a sustainably developed world to be a threat to the capitalist class, so they don't want to do it. After USAID got cut, Dalen Burns put out a fundraiser. Who? Does Dylan even have an audience at this point? How many people will die for that? Well, 7 million people were already starving to death every year because of US policies and undevelopment of Africa. So, I don't know. And, you know, when I say US, I want you to know it is a shorthand for Western domination. Not just US domination, but Western domination. For example, in West Africa. The U.S. went from being a revolutionary state to a counter-revolutionary state. As soon as the first communist revolution happened, it's been the bastion of reactionary forces. It was reactionary before that. Honestly, the United States of America has been reactionary since the 1870s. And on the CIA's 7th floor, home to the top leadership, some officers are quietly discussing how mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk create a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a foreign intelligence service. God, they were already, like, the CIA was already getting its ass whooped by the Chinese. Like, they were already getting their ass whooped by the Chinese before the cuts. Before the cuts, they were already getting their asses whooped. Oh. This is all I can say, chat. It's just like, holy fucking hell, man. That's awesome.
Quote, it's like there's only one person who is actually able to sidestep the demoralization and frustration, said one observer. After addressing more than 3,400 Nebraska residents in Omaha Friday evening, U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders on Saturday made his second stop on his national tour to fight oligarchy, telling Iowa residents that Trump...
This is just all I'm seeing. This, like, every time I hear a new piece of news, this is what I'm seeing in my mind's eye, chat.
唱歌曲。
I mean, like, come on, dude. Hey, what's the one with the music video I've been trying to find forever here? I'll get it for you, chat. All you have to do is go to my playlists, which I think I have a link somewhere. So like, this was China before the Communist Party, chat. Literally. Literally, this is China before the Communist Party. This is China after the Communist Party. If that's what you're looking for here. Somebody took this is like if you want to know what this video is, basically I think the Chinese military put out like a rock version of the Internationale, and this guy like took a bunch of like movies and different clips and like and spliced them in to the music video. Like, this is the music video, original music video.
从来就没有什么救世主，也不靠神仙皇帝，要创造人类的幸福，全靠我们自己。我们要多为劳动模式，让思想冲破牢笼，快把那炉火烧得通。
我们的目的一定要达到，我们的目的一定能够达到。
团结起来，到明天，赢得那熊孩儿，就一定要实现。
We need an English language version of this.
这是最后的斗争，团结起来，到明天。
I got you.
So agrees.
Oh man, the Long March Rockets is great.
Victims of oppression.
Okay, you're doing a really good accent, but we don't have. Okay, we're not gonna just listen to this song over and over. Let's go back. Let's go back to. Thank you. I'll look at it off stream. There's a socialist revolution of the English speaking nation. You'll get one. Oh hell yeah, dude. Xenophobia backfiring.
America unintentionally jump-started China's space program. So there's a Chinese man called Qian Xuesen. He was born and raised in China, came over to study in MIT. Caltech professor, was a colonel in the US military, worked for DoD, and was eventually a co-founder of JPL. But during the Red Scare, people were accusing him of communist sympathies, and they put them under house arrest. He was eventually deported in a prisoner exchange swap with like Korean pilots in China. And then when he went back, he jump-started China's entire space program as well as development of ICBMs. America's decision when it comes to China, there's like very unintuitive second-order consequences here.
Oh wow. Are you saying that like attacking socialists is stupid and that some of the most intelligent and empathetic people are socialists? Next time you're going to tell me Einstein was a socialist. You're going to tell me, oh, I am convinced there is only one way to eliminate these grave evils, namely through the establishment of a socialist economy accompanied by an education system which would be oriented towards social goals. In such an economy, the means of production are owned by society itself and are utilized in a planned fashion. A planned economy which adjusts production to the needs of the community would distribute the work to be done among all those able to work, and would guarantee a livelihood to every man, woman, and child. The education of the individual, in addition to promoting his own innate abilities, would attempt to develop in him a sense of responsibility for his fellow men in place of the glorification of power and success in our present society. Oh. Oh.
Trumpism will not be defeated by politicians inside the DC Beltway. For better or worse, that is not going to happen, said the Vermont independent senator, whose broadly popular policy proposals have long been dismissed by Democratic leaders as unrealistic and radical, while President Trump has increasingly captured the attention of the working class Americans who would benefit most from Sanders' ideas. Quote, it will only be defeated by millions of Americans in Iowa, in Vermont, in Nebraska, in every state in this country who come together in a strong grassroots movement and say no to oligarchy, no to authoritarianism, no to kleptocracy, no to massive cuts to programs that low income and working Americans desperately need, no to huge tax breaks for the wealthiest people in this country. The senator announced his tour earlier this month as Elon Musk, the head of Doge, bought the government, bought Trump's campaign, bought the administration, illegally hacking in and stealing government data, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, this article goes on, but here, let me show you what it was like when he walked into one of the events. This one, again, is in Omaha, Nebraska. Watch this, guys. Look, we got to call it what it is. This is Bernie's moment, because what we're witnessing is the culmination of everything he said was going to happen. It's happening. It's come to pass, right? You have the oligarchs, the robber barons, the billionaires, the kleptocrats. They have taken over. That's what Elon Musk represents. That's what Peter Thiel represents. That's what Mark Andreessen represents. That's what Mark Zuckerberg represents. When Trump was giving his inauguration speech, he was surrounded by the robber barons. They had better seats than his own cabinet members. They're illegally hacking into our government programs and deleting ones they don't want, like the CFPB and the Education Department. And at the same time, Trump, foreign policy-wise, has gone full 1800s imperialist, full colonialist. He's literally trying to do colonial extraction from Ukraine and saying, give us 50% of your natural resources from now until forever. Look at how he says we're going to own Gaza. Look at how he says we're going to do war with Mexico. We're going to steal Panama. We're going to coup Venezuela. I mean, the list goes on. Iran, war with Iran. So he's been right. He's been right every step of the way. He was a leader then. He's leading now. And it feels more like his moment than ever because the grassroots enthusiasm for somebody who's fighting back is immense. And the other thing is, what separates him from so many others, guys, is that he has a narrative. He has a story to tell, right? The MAGA story is very simple and very straightforward. Hey, blame the immigrants for all your problems. Blame the trans people for all your problems.
The reason why we have a big advantage over the right, if you're feeling like depressed and you're like, wow, how can we ever convince people? Here's the big advantage we have over the right. Blaming the immigrants and blaming trans people is not going to fix anything. Cutting the government and taking away people's, like, you know, Social Security or Medicare or whatever is not going to make people healthier. Everything's just going to get shit. Everything's going to get worse. Turns out with private security forum, and his license has been suspended because of this innocent, corrupt politicians are using private security firms to quiet their constituents. Yeah. They have no solutions to any problem. You know what the Nazis would do, chat? The Nazis would literally loot. That was their strategy. Their strategy was to just loot. They would just steal property from Jews and give it to loyal party members. That was the strategy. It was a party of looting. And we're talking about, like, when Jews were killed, millions of Jews were killed, they had empty homes and empty apartments. and they moved in Nazis.
We hate liberals and leftists, and they're also the problem. They have a story, and everything they say fits into that narrative. Fuck the immigrants, fuck the trans people, fuck the liberals and leftists. Everything they say builds towards that agenda and that ideology and those arguments. It is a story that you tell people. I know your life sucks. Here's why. And on the Democratic side, unfortunately, many Democratic politicians, even though they have way better policies than the average Republican, they don't tell a compelling story. It's very like technocratic. We're going to make these tweaks around the edges. Everything's kind of already okay, so chill out. Like, that's the vibe you get from most Democrats. Bernie has a counter narrative. He has a counter story, which is captivating, which moves people. And Bernie's story is the problem is not trans people and immigrants. The problem is not liberals and leftists. The problem and the reason why your life sucks, it's the robber barons. It's corporations. It's money in politics. It's corruption. They've bought our government, and now the government only represents the wealthy and not you. That's why you're struggling. And that's a better narrative, and it also happens to be true. It happens to be accurate. And so that's why you're seeing he's 83 years old, y'all. He's 83 years old.
Who gives a
and
fuck?
He's the leader.
Honestly. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Enrico Dandolio was the Doge of Venice. And you're like, Mike, why are you telling me this? He was their most successful leader, and he was like 90 something. He lived till 98. He died in fucking Constantinople because they conquered that shit. They conquered the Byzantine Empire. He died in there. He died in fucking Constantinople. I don't give a shit. If Bernie Sanders is 95, make him president. Winners are winners. I don't care.
Of the Democrats. You know, and look, we've all seen it since the election results. How many times have you seen liberals who were in trench warfare against the Bernie movement multiple times? All of a sudden, they're all going, you know what? You know what?
But they aren't, though, Kyle. Like, I don't know if Kyle believes this or he's just saying this to his audience. Like, this is kind of a... Am I an asshole for asking this question? Please tell me. Raise my, my EQ chat. Is he true? Does he believe what he's saying right now? Or is this like weird cope? Or is he just saying it to like his audience? Because like, none of the people who opposed Bernie are now supporting Bernie Sanders for leader of the party. Like, no one. The people that are supporting Bernie Sanders are the people who supported Bernie Sanders. There's no one who's going like, guys, we were wrong. Kamala Harris was a bad candidate and Joe Biden was a mistake. Let's make Bernie Sanders the minority leader. What U.S. senators are standing up saying, we should fire Chuck Schumer and make Bernie Sanders the minority leader in the Senate? How many people are saying that? Do I think Kyle's hiding his power level? No. I don't think he has a power level. I don't think Kyle is a socialist in any way. I think Kyle is basically just Cenk Uygur that didn't go insane from jealousy about Hassan. Like, that's it. I think him and Cenk are ideologically like pretty much identical. I think if you scanned him with the Dragon Ball Z like power level scanner, it wouldn't even spark once. It would be like, I've never seen a power level this low. It would just pop up. It wouldn't even be in blue. Like the text wouldn't even be red. It would just pop up blue. Liberal. Power level 100. Like, non-combatant.
He is the only one leading right now. He is the only one fighting MAGA effectively. He is the only one providing a counter narrative. Turns out he was kind of right about a lot of stuff. I mean, look at the oligarchs and the robber barons literally stealing our government from us. Look at what they're doing, cutting cancer research, cutting the anti-scam police, cutting the Department of Education, firing flight safety officials at the same time that planes are falling out of the air.
One with a power level of 5? Oh, damn. Kyle is framing this as democratic incompetence and not intentional, which is really dangerous. And like, this is why I'm asking the question, because it's like, does Kyle actually think they're incompetent? Or does Kyle just think that saying that it's intentional is going to lose him Democrats? So he's framing it in this way to like bring them on the team. Like, that's what I'm legitimately asking. I'm legitimately asking. Because if you look at this and you think the democratic incompetence is unintentional, then you haven't been paying attention for the last 15 years. I think Kyle is definitely a sock dem who has changed his aims due to the American political situation. He's great on Gaza, immigrants, trans people. Cenk is a capitalist that has busted unions. Kyle just believes in a mixed system. Give me permission not to do anything in real life and create this make-believe world where streamers on Twitch dictate the politics of the country, please, bro. I wish I was dictating the politics of the country. Here's what I would say to you, James. I think two things. One, people underestimate the importance of Hassan in particular. But people overestimate the importance of everyone else. And the reason why I say that is because Hassan is literally one of the few people who makes political content that I actually think is radical. Like almost every single other person I watch, I don't think has a radical bone in their body. I mean, other than like, you know, the friends on the Deprogram podcast, they're very clearly radical, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy.
So I'm not done. I told you a lot of these videos that he's posting are getting literally millions of views. Millions of views. This is what leadership looks like.
I don't want to be too anti-Kyle. Because when you criticize people too much, they just hate you because that's just the way human beings are. Like if you criticize someone's thoughts and their arguments too critically or too harshly, they think that you hate them or you're their enemy. And it's like, I do. So I like Kyle. I do like Kyle. I don't think there's anything wrong with Kyle. I just don't know that he has the like. He feels like he's very much in 2017 mode, and we're just not there anymore, man. Kyle is valuable as an entry-level gateway to progressive left politics. Kyle is on our side. I think we do this gatekeeping thing that weakens any potential left-wing mobilization and militancy. We need to radicalize the libs. That's what I'm talking about, Caddy. That's what I'm talking about. Like, the idea that the Democratic Party is fumbling, it's like, I'll give you an analogy for what I'm talking about. How many of you think that the Iraq war was a mistake, or the Iraq war was like the America as this kind of bumbling giant that is going around the world and we make mistakes, but we're well-intentioned, right? Like that narrative of the United States. That's not true. The United States is not well-intentioned making mistakes. The United States is malevolent. The United States is seeking to exert its power on other states so that we could exploit them in an unfair way. We invaded Iraq for the oil. We didn't invade Iraq to spread democracy. We didn't invade Iraq because we cared about WMDs. If we care about WMDs, we've been invading Tel Aviv. We don't give a fuck about WMDs and proliferation of WMDs, okay? We invaded Iraq to steal the oil. Now, it was a stupid strategic decision and it failed, but it didn't fail because we're well-intentioned, good people who just wouldn't go far enough to win. We were defeated because the Iraqi people defeated us on the battlefield. And we were chased away with our tail between our legs, okay? Just like what happened in Vietnam. We didn't withdraw from Vietnam because, we just decided we didn't care anymore. We were defeated and it wasn't worth the cost. For what it's worth, I always watch CNN and all, but after the election, I went to TYT to Kyle and Sam, then Hassan and you and all. I think if I came straight from CNN to Hassan or here, it may have been too much. Yeah. Yeah. I think my main criticism of Kyle is that I think that he could be a little bit more sharply anti-Democratic Party and more critical of the Democratic Party. But I think, okay, I think I understand what he's doing. He believes, and this may be a good move, I don't know, but this is what I believe is happening. Kyle believes that normie Democrats want somebody who's going to fight the Republicans. And so he's not saying the Democratic Party is the problem because he thinks it's going to alienate normie Democrats. And they're going to put you in the box of Trump supporter. They're going to put you in the box of Trump supporter and they're going to stop listening if you attack the Democratic Party. So he is taking advantage of this. Is the most good faith interpretation of a strategy I can come up with. So I'm really stretching here. So he believes that the best strategy is to kind of soft pedal your criticism of the Democrats right now and build up the credibility of people like Bernie Sanders as a way to get normie Democrats shifted to the left. All right, I'm going to proceed assuming that's the case.
Here's one of the segments from not that long ago.
I do not often find myself in the habit of thanking Elon Musk, but I must confess that he has done an exceptional job of demonstrating a point that a few of us have been making for years, and that is the reality that we live in an oligarchic society in which billionaires dominate not only our politics and the information we consume from media, but our government and economic lives as well. That has never been clearer than it is today. But given the news and attention Mr. Musk has been getting over the last few weeks as he illegally and unconstitutionally dismantles government agencies, I think it is an appropriate time to ask the question that the media and most politicians don't seem to be asking. What do he and other multi-billionaires really want? What is their endgame? In my opinion, what Musk and those around him are aggressively striving for is not novel, it is not complicated, and it is not new. It is what ruling classes throughout history have always wanted and have always believed is theirs by right. More power, more control, and more wealth. And they don't want ordinary people, that's you, and democracy getting in their way. They want it all. Elon Musk and his fellow oligarchs believe government and laws are simply an impediment to their interests and what they are entitled to. In pre-revolutionary America, before the 1770s, the ruling class governed through a doctrine called the divine rights of kings. The belief that the King of England was an agent of God and he was not to be questioned by mere mortals. In modern times, we no longer have the divine right of kings. What we now have is an ideology being pushed by the oligarchs, which says that as very, very wealthy people, often self-made, often as the masters of revolutionary new technology, it is their absolute right to rule. In other words, these modern-day oligarchs are our kings. And it is not just power. It's incredible wealth that they have. Today, Mr. Musk is worth $402 billion. Zuckerberg is worth $252 billion. Bezos is worth $249 billion. With combined wealth of over $900 billion, these three people own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. Not surprisingly, since Trump was elected, their wealth has soared. Musk has become $138 billion richer. Zuckerberg has become $49 billion richer. And Bezos has become $28 billion richer.
And by the way, chat, this is so good. Bernie Sanders is so good. I will never, ever be anti-Bernie. I have criticisms from Bernie. I think the fact that he's too nice. But this is such good politics. He's naming the enemy. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. They're becoming super rich. And he backs it up with real numbers. It's not the immigrant. It's those motherfuckers. And Elon Musk has so little riz. It is so unlikable. He should be like Elon Musk should be the target of the Democratic movement, the left. We should be like Elon Musk. And we should be drawing as much attention as we can to Elon Musk because Elon Musk has no riz. Donald Trump is funny. Donald Trump has a little bit of like sense of where people are. And he knows how to, and he's quick on his feet, and he's good at making quips. Elon Musk is a petulant man-child nerd that everybody dislikes. We should be making him the face of the oligarchy. And that's what we did. By the way, that's what we did in the 20s. They made US, Standard Oil numero uno enemy, the trusts. That's what the progressive movement was built on. Mellon. That was FDR making Mellon and Hoover the target of our scorn because they had no fucking riz and they were hateable. We need to do the same.
All since election day. Meanwhile, while the
calling
very
him a nerd, okay. I don't mean that he's like a nerd. He's like a dork, whatever. I can't remember nerd or dork, whatever the one that is bad. Dweeb, who gives a fuck? You get what I'm saying. He's not intellectual at all.
become much richer. 60% of Americans live paycheck to paychecks. 85 million are uninsured or underinsured. 25% of seniors are trying to survive on $15,000 a year or less. 800,000 are homeless, and we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. Do you think for 1 second that the oligarchs give a damn about working people? Trust me, they don't. Musk's decision to dismember USAID means that tens of thousands of the poorest people around the world will go hungry or die of preventable diseases. But it's not just abroad. Here in the United States, they will soon be going after the healthcare, nutrition, housing, and educational programs that protect the most vulnerable people in our country, all so that Congress can provide huge tax breaks for them and their fellow billionaires. As modern-day kings who believe they have the absolute right to rule, they will sacrifice, without hesitation, the well-being of working people to protect their interests.
Highly recommend you go watch the rest of this. Highly recommend it. Look, the fact of the matter is very simple. Other Democrats, many other Democrats, they still want to get some billionaire money, right? That's why...
The good billionaires! The DNC leader who was just elected said he wants to take money from good billionaires.
You had Hakeem Jeffries allegedly went to Silicon Valley after this election to try to mend fences with tech billionaires. And you heard this from the new head of the DNC. He's like, look, there's a lot of bad billionaires. We won't be taking money from them, but we're going to take money from the good billionaires. And this is the problem. You are undermining what's supposed to be your argument, your narrative, your agenda, your ideology. You're undermining it because you want to have one foot in that world. We are long past that being acceptable. Long past. The defining feature, the defining characteristic of the Democratic Party has to be, we are against the robber barons. We are against the oligarchy and the kleptocracy and the kakistocracy. That's what we're all about. And so our agenda is fighting them and stopping them, and at the same time, delivering for you. We want a higher minimum wage so you make a living wage.
But they don't want that, Kyle. This is the problem. This is the real problem that we're in. The problem that we're in is that people like Bernie Sanders and to a lesser extent the squad, because they took so much, reputational damage from supporting Kamala Harris. The problem that we have, Kyle, and this is a very important problem, is that none of them are in leadership. They may be Democratic congressmen. They may be famous on social media. But none of them actually have any power within the party. None whatsoever. The party hates them. They're not on our side.
If you work full time, you don't have to worry about starving or losing your home or not being able to pay the light bill. We want a higher minimum wage. We want universal health care. We want universal education, including higher education. We want the PRO Act so people have a right to join a union. It's simple bread and butter stuff, but it's only going to land and it's only going to pack that punch if you don't just walk the walk, don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. And you make sure you don't take any billionaire money. Bernie proved you can raise enough money to be competitive through small dollar donations. Do you have any idea how many more people would start sending money to Democrats if they made clear, look, we're drawing a line in the sand. We're done. It's over. We're not taking any more money from any billionaires, any corporations. We're going to raise all of our money through small dollar donations so everybody knows we are only incentivized to represent you, the American people. And there's never been a more clear example of this is the moment. This is the time. Because look at what Elon Musk, the world's wealthiest robber baron, look at what he's doing. He's cutting cancer research for kids. He's cutting the Department of Education. He's cutting flight safety officials. He's cutting the anti-scam police. You know, like, this is it. This is the culmination of everything Bernie has said, everything he's warned about, every step of the way. And why is he the only one who's out there, who's this visible, who's responding to it on a daily basis, who's doing events throughout the country in purple districts, explaining oligarchy and explaining why you cannot support these monsters? The left is going to rise because the left is actually demonstrating this is how you fight Trump. This is how you fight Trump. And all of those liberals who were told in 2016 and on, all that matters is fighting Trump. He's a fascist. He's a threat to democracy. He's every bad thing in the world. Now, those same liberals are going, why is the only one taking Trump seriously? Bernie Sanders. You know, maybe I was wrong about him. Maybe he was the right choice. Maybe Hillary Clinton was a bad idea. Maybe Joe Biden was a bad idea. Maybe it should have been him all along. And yet again, it's Bernie's moment. He's proving that. He's proving it. Proving it day in, day out. That's why he's getting millions of views with the videos that he releases. That's why his events have literally overflow rooms with 800 people in them, because everybody's yearning for somebody to fight back and do so effectively. His brand of politics is the brand of politics that gets that job done. That actually defeats MAGA, that defeats the robber barons, that delivers victories for the American people, that cleans up our system, gives people a fair shot, brings us back to some semblance of New Deal politics. There's a reason FDR won 4 times. There's a reason at his peak he had 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate. So he's still the leader. God, what I would
like this. It's so funny he said the New Deal, because I just tweeted about the New Deal, like literally as I was watching this video. And I said, the left was part of FDR's coalition. Truman worked with the most vicious anti-socialist forces, including Nazis, to end that alliance. Leftists are nostalgic for a New Deal politics that the Democratic Party has been built to prevent since the 1950s. It's never going to change. It's almost like I could anticipate what he's about to say. This isn't the party of 1932, man. This is the Democratic Party that is the legacy of the New Deal. These are anti-communist, anti-socialist, liberal ideologues. These are cold warriors. They say the name socialism with vitriolic hate.
would give to shave 20 years off of his age. Just have him be 63, not 83. If he was 63, he'd be a shoo-in for the next election. He would win with FDR-like numbers, bro. He really would. But hey, other Democrats, the opportunity's always there. You can always say, I'm done with corporate money, I'm done with robber baron money. You could always come out and say...
You can't, like, that's the problem that Kyle doesn't understand. Is, I'm going to be brutally honest. We need a hard-nosed man right now to lead the left. Like, and I hate to say this, but it's just the energy is right now of rage. And there isn't any. There isn't any. AOC just doesn't have it, man. I wish it was not true. She just doesn't have it. She's not Claudia Scheinbaum. If we had Claudia Scheinbaum, I would be Claudia Scheinbauming all fucking day. I would be worshiping my queen. We just don't have anybody like that. It's not just a gender thing. It's an orientation toward the like AOC is very much kindergarten teacher energy. It's all about empathy and microaggressions and, you know, making sure everybody's comfortable, and it sucks. And when she yells, it's cringe. Yeah. AOC would be a perfect second president for a socialist era, I guess. I just think of her as an alliance with the people that everyone dislikes. She's like Elizabeth Warren coded, to be honest. Cori Bush is not a good enough politician. I like Cori, but she just doesn't have the national cojones. She doesn't have the national gravitas. Jon Stewart is softer than toilet paper. Jon Stewart is not a hard-edged person. The only person I like is Sean Fain. I personally like Warren. You are in the extreme minority. She helped kneecap Bernie as well. We need Bill Burr. Bill Burr!
Say that, and you could.
Now you're talking. That's a celebrity. Stephen A. Smith, go fuck yourself. Bill Burr. Now, the problem with Bill Burr is he's not very ideologically disciplined. He would need somebody behind him who is really, really, really ideologically disciplined so that he could, like, tell him to yell about the right things. Bill Burr, now you're talking. Yeah, his wife, yeah.
People that are struggling out there because of these f***ing billionaires, and they got us all arguing liberal and conservative. We got to stop doing that. Like, I am so tired of hearing about people going to bed worried about what's going to happen next week. There is so much f***ing money in this country, and there's so much work being done, you know, and if you work a full week at a job, you should be able to pay your fucking rent. You shouldn't have to go out and get a fucking job and still be struggling. It's bad for the country because then the kids don't see their parents and they're not getting the upbringing that they need. It's so fucking these fucking billionaires. They need to be put down. You know, like fucking rabid dogs. They're like rabid with.
Stop purity testing and start building coalitions to fight back. I think if somebody says purity testing, they should be kicked in the balls.
With fucking greed and just going out and just dividing everybody.
Bill's seed from Andor? This isn't from Andor. This is from Mandalorian.
And when they realize that, they're gonna welcome us back with open arms. to the Empire.
You did what you had to do. I never saw you.
You said purity testing was bad just 2 days ago. No, I didn't. I said purity testing is a thought terminating cliche people say when they don't want to argue on the merits. Everything you can't debate, you say is a purity test. Oh, yeah, there's a genocide in Gaza, but you're purity testing when you say that the people doing the genocide are bad. That's also not what reactionary means, dumb fuck. Stop watching Destiny. He doesn't know what words, basic political science words mean. He doesn't know anything about the world around him. Like, he's dumb, and he made you dumb. He made you think you could be smart just by being confident. That's not what smart is. Smart is being actually correct and having judgment. Stop it. God damn. Is Mandalorian worth watching? Maybe a season or two. Reactionary is when you change your opinion. Oh, god damn, this is awesome. Reactionary is when you change your position on a word like purity testing because someone pisses you off. Reactionary. A person opposing political or social liberalization or reform. That's actually not a really good definition of it is. Here's a better reaction. Relating to or marked by favoring reaction, especially ultra-conservative politics. Now, reaction means... let me see if we could talk about... it means reverting to a previous state. A reaction, here we go. A reaction is a person who wants to reverse political changes and seeks to restore society to a state believed to have existed before. Opposing revolution. The use of the time of the French Revolution to refer to a person opposing the revolution as in favoring a reaction against the revolution. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're an idiot. Shut the fuck up. I'm reacting to things. It means you're in political science. Reactionary is somebody who supports going to a previous status quo. I'll give you an example that'll make it clear. A reactionary is somebody who wants to ban gay marriage. They want to go back to the marriage laws before gay marriage was legalized. A reactionary is somebody who wants to get rid of the Civil Rights Acts and go back to Jim Crow. That's what a reactionary is. A conservative is somebody who wants to maintain the status quo and maintain the currently the institutions and the traditions of today. A reactionary wants to return to a previous status quo ante. This is, and by the way, chat, I would call this about high school level, like AP poli-sci in high school level. Maybe even just like, you know, social studies or elective class in high school. Okay. Like this isn't even like undergrad level. This is, you paid attention in high school level shit. Now, a lot of Destiny's viewers and Destiny himself are not that bright. And so that's why they watch him. And that's why sometimes people will come into my chat and they'll like spout off for attention and they're very stupid. And one of the things that kind of melts my brain is a lot of streamers will say somebody is reactionary because they react to things. Apparently, I didn't take this off of a monitor. I had this on the edge of a monitor. Apparently, I never took this off. I just did that right now. It was like on the outside of it. Have I read The Reactionary Mind by Corey Robin? Yeah, I think that's a good book. You should check that out. Gives you a good foundational understanding of conservative thought.
Always follow the lead. He's showing you exactly what to do, bro. This is like it's all right there. The roadmap is there for you. You can all do it, and everybody would be happy if there were more people who could effectively fight MAGA because they have a counter narrative, they have a counter story, they have a counter ideology. And finally, this is probably the most important part. He actually cares, right? You get the sense when you listen to right-wing politicians talk, you genuinely get the sense like, oh, they're actually about that life. They actually believe this dumb bullshit they're saying, right? That's the sense you get. It's from their core, it's from their soul when they're ranting against immigrants and, you know, espousing all these horrible policy positions. On the Democratic side with most of them, it's like, do you really care? It just seems like you're trying to climb the ladder. It seems like you're a careerist and you're more out for yourself. And Bernie's a clear example of somebody who really gives a shit about what he's talking about what he supports. And that's the other thing. If you don't care, just get out of the way. Make room for those of us who do, because there's a lot of us who do. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm.
I guess it's better than nothing. Kyle ruined his friendship with Joe Rogan because of how right-wing he's become. That deserves a lot of credit because 99% of people wouldn't cut off the biggest podcast on the internet. I mean, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think that it would be better if Kyle was able to get on the show, or, you know, would be even better to recommend Hassan to go on the show.